it work in enticing fans of this generation if we ran it in 2019 in this genre?
I think it would be not as big as it is, even if it was 4 divisions of it. I don't know if it would still be as popular as it was in its heyday, just because of the whole group of people that are missing. Again, I believe that's and it's not a problem; it's a reality. There's just that whole 30-year-old group that's doing something else. It's my generation. That's what we did. We raced. Professional racing came from somebody put a race on Thursday night and somebody put a race on Friday and Saturday and Sunday afternoon.
Right.
And that's how professional racing started, because now you didn't have enough time to have a real job because you had to fix your car to go race on Thursday night.
That's right.
And that's where it came from, and it's out of control cost-wise, and it never met expectations. And I'm talking about big-time racing. In 1994, what I refer to as the Jeff Gordon era, is when everything changed. That's when the engineers came, and that's when the big sponsors came, and it's when NASCAR, I don't know what their thinking was, but I guess they thought they could have a Daytona 500 every Sunday if they did it in a different market. And that's when they built all the palaces, a mile-and-a-half racetracks all over the country that never met expectations. Would have been nice if it did, but the reality was it didn't. And then we're missing this group of people. This is why the grandstands are empty.
You know what, though? But, Joe, I do got to commend, and this, I work with NASCAR. I do announcing with NASCAR. You know that. I do got to commend Steve Phelps, the new president of NASCAR, because he did publicly make this statement. Guys, we hit the nail wrong. We made a mistake. We've realized this. We know there's things that we've done wrong. We've got to fix. And whether it's in motorsports or in life in general, you can't fix anything in life unless you admit you made a mistake. And I think they've at least done that. The question is, can they come back and retract and fix it? And would you go with the concept of if NASCAR is doing good, it's going to be good for all of motorsports, even for your series?
Oh, it's wonderful for my series. It's just absolutely. ARCA and NASCAR are my biggest supporters. They keep making cars obsolete, and I keep making them Super Cup cars. So may they last a long time. But that's just where my cars come from, is something that's been made obsolete somewhere else. I do believe NASCAR can survive. I hope it survives. But the other thing it's going to have to admit, it did make some mistakes, but I don't think it made a lot of mistakes. Some of the mistakes were made for them. Like I said, there's a group of children that were raised. My son is one of them. My son's 50 years old. I can't get him to watch a race, come to a race. He just doesn't care. You just got to move on and get somebody else to go.
What's his reason behind it? See, I mean, that's the thing, like, my ex-wife, whenever I used to go to family dinners, cookouts, Easter barbecues, whatever, I was like a fly on the wall because, if they were into hunting, they were into fishing. Well, damn it all, that's not what I do. And the conversations, the gaps were not there. And somebody just simply said, well, they made a smart aleck comment to me. They were like, well, I don't understand how you make a living in racing. What is the deal with racing? And I'm like, well, first off, don't knock something until you try it. Second of all, I'm blessed to have a career working in motorsports where you have to get your ass up and go work at an office or go work, fixing refrigerators or fixing, cars or whatever it is you do for your career, where 9 times out of 10, Joe, you have people that hate their careers. They hate their jobs. They hate what they do with their life. And then they're miserable with the people that they spend their life with because they go to work for 8 hours or 9 hours, a punch a clock for the man, and hate it.
The last job I had that I had to be at a specific time was the last 6 years of Harry Gant's career, and that ended December 23rd, 1994. I haven't punched a time clock since.
And again, I'm not knocking people that do that, because if you like that life, then by all means go ahead and do it. But my thing is this, don't talk bad about what somebody does unless you have a reason behind why you don't like it. You know, if you don't like it, you just don't like it. My forte is this. I hate onions. I'm not a fan of onions. I don't eat it, but I'll eat onion rings. But if you make me a burger and you put raw onions on my plate, I'm going to say something about it because I don't like them. But if I've never had onion rings before and, you know, I turn my nose up at it, that's just an example, and I've never tried it before, then I'm wrong because, I'm downing something because I just don't like something. Well, you have to try things. Things about life should be about taking chances and doing new stuff, being adventurous. Racing is not, and I don't Joe, is it because of the technical side of it? I know we got 10 minutes remaining here on our podcast. Is it the technical side? Do people not understand it? Do people not understand the concept? Is it the format? Is it stages? Is it segments? Is it the pit stops? Is it the tires? Go ahead.
It's everything. It's the cost of doing business. You cannot put a car together and go race at the top levels anymore. And like I said, back in 1985, everyone had a Busch car. 85 cars showed up to Rockingham. 85 cars. That's what they did. The other thing, there's no hand-me-down cars anymore. You used to be able to go to Daytona as an independent, and you could run the ARCA race, then push the thing over the same car, push it over to the Cup side.
Exactly.
Take the ARCA sticker off of it, and now you could run practice. You could run the twin 125s or whatever they were back then. All of the stuff, and you could possibly make the Daytona 500. You can't do that anymore.
So do you believe the technical side is one of the big things in not allowing these same cars to run multiple series or multiple different events has hurt racing?
Yes, there's no hand-me-downs. Look at the cost of Xfinity racing today.
But this happened back in the 80s, though.
Sportsman series.
But, Joe, this is something that happened back in the 80s. So are you saying that the demise of motorsports has not just really reached its cap now, but it happened back 20, 30 years ago?
It happened at least 20 years ago. It started 20 years ago. It's just cost, and they kept weeding out the little guy. You watch a television race right now, and there's a car in a Cup race that doesn't have I've heard several comments on television that, geez, we don't have a sponsor on our car. They act like they don't want us here. I want you to come race. I don't care if you have a sponsor on your car or not.
Right.
I want the car to come to the gate. The big time don't want to do that. They're at a different level. I mean, that's all they're saying. It doesn't make them bad. Don't get me wrong. I'm not bad-mouthing them. They're at a different level. I go to a racetrack like Dominion. I tell the people, you've got a fantastic racetrack. I want to race at it. We're going to bring you a good show, and all I need that racetrack to do for me is put some butts in the seat, and I will entertain them. And I can prove that now because when the people who bought Lone Jennerstown, they gave away tickets to fill their grandstand so they could sell hot dogs and soda and bill fans. They put 7,000 people in there on a Saturday night. And granted, maybe they didn't sell too many tickets, but they had people in the grandstand. When they stopped doing their promotion a couple of years ago, 4,000 people still came and bought tickets. So what did they do? They developed a fan base. And when my series came to town, we entertained those people. And if you look at Jennerstown, if you're going to do that race on September 10th up there, I think is that what day is? August 10th?
No, it's
the Motor Mountain race.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Jennerstown, they'll have a good crowd there. But if you look at when the Super Cup Series comes to Jennerstown, there's 6,000 to 7,000 people in the grandstand.
That's awesome.
We put butts in the seat. And the reason we do that is because they did their job in the first place by filling the seat. And I did my job by entertaining them. And we have numbers to bear that out at Jennerstown.
And, I will say this, too, Joe, in retrospect also, you talk about promoters and you talk about racing becoming expensive for the race fans. Us as sanctioning bodies, us as track promoters, or actually for series sanctioning bodies, we have got to come up with a package that is affordable to present to these track promoters that's going to make them want to take a chance on putting a race on with your series. Because I have seen so many people be, high on the hog, so to speak, and I know you'll probably jump in here and reiterate on it, where it costs thousands of dollars more than probably what it shouldn't have been. And it's a utter failure for the track, for the town, for the sanctioning body. And it leaves a black eye in the promoter's eye, and for the track and the series and the fans. You put a race on, I mean, no disrespect to Jack McNally with the Cars Tour. They've really turned things around with what they've done with their super late model concept. But when he had the Pro Cup idea, he took something that was with a 30, 40 car field for 250 laps on a single Saturday or Friday night program and tried to do the same thing, Joe, with 5 cars. 250 laps. Well, you look at me being a race fan, you come there for the first time ever, and you're seeing this, and there's only one word I can think: joke. And then they don't come back.
Take anything away from the racer. And this is one of the problems with Pro Cup. The group that took that over, 2 of them were friends of mine. I knew Jack because he was a car owner in the Pro Cup series. I never met the other one, Chip Lofton, but I knew the 2 of the principals who bought the series. And you cannot take anything away from a racer. Once you give them a payout or put a purse out, you can't take it back ever. I went about that the opposite way. I never paid big money in the first place. I didn't have that problem. But
yeah, what do you pay? You pay like
$1,000, $10,000 to win.
Yeah, I was going to say that. What do you pay? Like me and you talked on the phone about it, and if you want to unveil it, you can. What do you pay? Like $1,000 to win? $1,000 to win for an event?
$1,000 to win and $250 to start.
And that's for every race.
Yeah. And this comes down to I have upped the changes that I've made that cost people money. Is I've upped the entry fee from $100 to $125 and now to $150. Probably stay there forever. I upped the pit passes from 25 to 30. That's the only up changes that I've made in 11 years. But I've upped start money from $150 to $250 over that same time frame. But you can never take it back away from them. And listen, what these guys did with Pro Cup, and they did the best they could do. These were good people, and they weren't greedy people. The bottom line was is they didn't have Hooters behind them, and they had to cut the purse, and they had to do this and that. And if they made a mistake, it was changing the purse. One day it was 10,000, next day it was 5, then it was 7. That was a mistake that they made, and I'm sure they know that. But, it didn't matter. If you take $1 away from them, they're unhappy. So I didn't see this premier Pro Cup series, again, the best goddamn series you could ever think of, just dwindle away. And it wasn't necessarily the new owner's fault. It was the times, the costs. It was $70. You want to bring a Pro Cup race to your racetrack, it was $70,000 or $80,000.
That's true.
That's what they charge.
Yeah.
Right now, that's about what an ARCA race or K&N race cost. But at that time, we sent cars home. We bring 40, 50 cars to racetrack.
Exactly, yes.
And we had Speed Channel TV. We had all of that good stuff, so it was worth that kind of money. The prices are still that high today, and they bring 13 and 14 cars.
And I mean, no disrespect to this. You had ARCA on MAV TV at Pensacola in March. You had the K&N series at Bristol 2-3 weeks ago as well, and they couldn't even get a 20-car field.
I understand. And why is that? It costs too much money. It costs too much money to run the series. Maybe they're just too big to trim down. Do you know who runs my series? Me. I have the help of Aaron Creed, my PR director. He does a fine job, does so much for me, it's unbelievable. We have a photographer. We have a graphics person that works with us. But I do everything. Scheduling, negotiating, race day. While we're here talking, the owner of Dominion just called me, so I'll call him back as soon as I get off the phone with you. But the bottom line there is I'm not top-heavy. I virtually do everything myself, with the help of the few people that we have. And without Aaron Creed, I wouldn't have Facebook. Without Patrick Miller, I wouldn't have a photographer. So we get by with a little help from our friends, basically. And I tell people all the time, this is just a part-time job to me. I work at it